Today I'm going to show you some stuff that I've never shown you before. I'm going to go over my entire investment portfolio, and that includes my pension. So I've not gone over this before. I don't know why actually, but I want to show you what a normal pension looks like that I've been investing into since I'm 21 years old. I am now 42. My plan is, as always, to retire at 50, but there needs to be a couple of things that I need to do in order to make that happen, because obviously, as we know, we cannot access our private pensions until we're 57 at the moment, if you're my age anyway. That means that we need to have an alternative plan, which is why I've got a stocks and shares ISA. So let's go over the pension. I'll show you what I've done, what I've invested into. I've got 3 pensions from working within 3 different businesses, and I'm going to go over all of it and show you my entire wealth pretty much. So my first pension is the smallest, and this is, as you can see, when I worked at Molson Coors. So I worked in Molson Coors from 2006 until 2016, so 10 years, and it was my first foray into a career. I suppose I was messing around before that. I was auto enrolled at that time. I don't even know if auto enrollment was in that place, but they put me onto the pension. I stuck on it. It was 3% me putting in, 3% the company matching, and I was on a small salary. So I started at 16,600. I remember actually going for the interview. This was back in 2006, obviously, and them saying, "What are your salary expectations?" I had no idea. I was at the beginning of my journey. I said, "If you give me 12 grand, I'll be happy." And they came back and said, "We're very pleased to tell you, we're giving you 16,600. I was absolutely buzzing, as you can imagine. So within my Molson Coors pension, I have got £38,312. And I have gone into each of these pensions maybe a couple of years ago and tinkered with them and made sure that I am investing the way that I want to be investing. If there's one thing you take from this video, log on to your pension, find out who your pension is, log into it, see what it's invested into, see what the fees are, see what the performance has been, and judge for yourself if you're happy with all of those things. If you're not, it might be worth having a tinker around and working out whether you want to put some capital into something a little bit different. Now, typically the default funds for most of these pensions are high fees and horrifically low returns. They default them into the lowest possible risk tolerance that there is, which means that you're not going to really get the returns that you're going to get from an old world, for example. I only wish I did this 20 years ago. I would have double the amount in each of these pension pots if I did that. So within my Molson Coors pension, I've got Aviva Pension BlackRock 30/70 Currency Hedged Global Equity Index Tracker. They don't half like to overcomplicate these things. So like I say, it was a couple of years ago, and one of the takeaways I'm going to do from this is actually go in and re-review. So 70% is into that, 80% is into that, and that's basically an all world, effectively. There is some nuances to it, but it's effectively an all world. We've also got the Aviva Pension BlackRock Market Advantage, which was their default, and the Aviva Pension Legal and General Global Real Estate. So I decided I want to put a bit of real estate in there. So I got 10%, is it? Yeah, 10% into real estate as well, 80% all world. And as a result of that, that's where I want to be with this pension. So this is the smallest pension that I have, but I'm comfortable with the allocation of the funds that I have within it at the moment. From 2016 until 2021, I worked for Kerry Foods. So at that time, my salary had jumped up a bit and my contributions had begun to jump up a bit. So I was 5 years in Kerry Foods, and over that period, 55,779. That is because, one, like I say, I was earning more, and two, I realized how important this sort of stuff was. It took me a while, and I started upping my contribution. This now is with a different provider. This is with Aon, whereas the previous one was with Aviva. One of the things that companies do as well is they change the pension providers, and they might do that 2 or 3 times over the course of your career. So you have to keep on track of where your money is actually invested. There are billions of pounds in lost pensions in the UK. Don't let that be you. And my Kerry pension is basically invested into the cheapest all world that I could find through that provider. Again, a couple of years ago. So I am going to go back in there and have a look at it. Value of that's 55,779, and 100% I've got invested into that. I brought up the fact sheet here as well, just to show you so you can see it. You can pause this, you can save it, do what you want to do. But you can see over the last 5 years, this has returned 12.4% per year over the last 5 years. If it continues to do that, we're going to be flying. I don't think it will, by the way. You'll also notice on the left-hand side there, that colored little bar chart. This is between medium and very high risk, effectively. Within here, the fund objective, invest in the shares of overseas companies in Europe, Japan, the Far East, USA, and Canada. It aims to match the performance of the FTSE developed ex-UK custom ESG. So this is not included the UK in here. Perhaps that's going to be a mistake going forward, but I have got it covered in other pension pots that I have. The third pension that I have is the most recent one from the company that I left in April, and that is sitting at £83,103. That again is with Aviva, and it is much bigger than the others, even though I started in it later. Couple of reasons. Again, I was earning a lot more, and again, I was maxing out as much as I possibly could the contributions into that. Also, I would take a big chunk out of my bonus every single year and throw that in, because the tax advantages of doing that at the time were absolutely phenomenal. And as we can see, as a result of doing that, I've got a really sizable, for me, pot here in my most latest pension provider. That then is invested into the Mercer Passive Global Equity, and 50% into each, and the BlackRock US equity. So I've got an all world, and I've got the S&P 500 basically covered here. Now, there is risk associated with these pension pots, right? I do not recommend that you blindly copy these in any way, because I am very heavily leveraged into equity, a small bit into property, but this will be much more volatile than the average person's pension. My hope is that that means it will grow to a greater level. The reality could be the opposite. It could be that I underperform a default fund by the time I come to access it. Now, fortunately, I do still have 15 years before I can access this. I believe that over that 15-year period, I will beat investing into a default fund. That may not be by much, or it may be a lot, or I may underperform it, but that's risk that I am comfortable with. But that then means that in my pensions, across all of my pensions, I've got £177,094.93. What I want to show you now is what that is going to look like by the time I come to retire, or be able to access it, is what I mean. So starting with that amount that I have, £177,094.93. I want every penny working for me. Now, as I showed you before, I actually have been getting 12.5% there, thereabouts over the course of the last 5 years. I'm not going to put that in, because I think that's going to skew the numbers, and I do not anticipate we're going to see 12.5% returns for the next 15 years. So I'm going to put 8% in, which is effectively 50% less. Now, the global or world has historically returned around 10%. Whether it'll do that going forward, anyone's guess. Now, I've got 15 years until I am 57, 42 now. I cannot access it any earlier than that. So I've got 15 years to wait. And if we assume I don't deposit a single another penny into it over that 15-year period, leave it as it is, that means I'll end up with a pot of £585,000 by the time I'm 57, not inflation adjusted. Play around with the numbers, do as you will to decide whether you want to incorporate that. So globally, historically, the average inflation rate has been around 2.5%. I know it's been a lot higher recently, but if you take 2.5% off 8%, for example, that will give you an inflation adjusted number, meaning that's the buying power of that cash. Now, I'm not going to put nothing into it over the next 15 years. Being self-employed now, things are a little bit different. I don't know how long I'm going to do this for, but I am hoping to be able to put around £500 per month into a SIP, self-invested pension plan. I'll cover that in another video. So I'm going to put around £500 a month into that. Some months will be higher, some months will be less. It may be a lot more, it may be a lot less. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of unknowns with all of this. That's the important thing with trying to retire early. You just have to put your best foot forward. Right, learn what you can learn and try and scope out what the best plan might be. So that, assuming a £500 per month going in, means I'll end up with £758,000, £750,000 potentially could be mine by the time that I'm 57. Obviously, if I was to leave that for another 10 years, it would double to nearly £2 million. But I don't want to. I want to be able to access it at 57. Those are my 3 pension pots then that I have. I also then have, which you have probably seen a lot more of on this channel, a stocks and shares ISA, which I started aggressively investing into January 2020. And I have, for the first couple of years, put as much as I could in. And then 2 years after that, maxed my ISA. I'm hoping to do the same this year. And again, the markets have been very good. We've been very lucky. I say lucky. The key thing is that enabled that luck is that I just kept going, because of how much I'd learned and how much I'd read. My portfolio dropped by 40% during COVID. My portfolio stagnated over the course of 2020. Negative returns. I was in the red on my portfolio for all of 2022 pretty much. What did I do? Kept going, kept depositing into it, not overcomplicating it, and now I've got £144,000. Now, we're not going to go through all of these, but I'll just quickly show you the returns. The majority, obviously, is into the Invesco world. Of the £144,000, I've got 72,000 pound in there. I've got nearly £40,000 in the S&P 500. That has returned spectacularly over the course of the last few years. Whether it will do it going forward, I'm going to keep saying it, who knows. Biotech, because, you know, one of the problems with social media these days is however much I say it, and I'm a victim of it as well, I see a lot of people just blindly copying my portfolio. You must invest into what's right for you. Now, all of these are pretty much my picks, but I read a lot of Andrew Craig, so I've got a biotech ETF in there. Now, he actually wouldn't advocate for that. He'd more advocate trying to invest into UK biotech potential businesses, but I wanted a bit of biotech exposure. Microsoft through the roof because of AI. Realty income, we've got another little bit of property coverage here now as well. So Realty income is a REIT, real estate investment trust, invests into property in the US. Legal in general, I think those are my only two that are in the red now. Lloyd's Bank, absolutely flying. You'll notice with all of these, much smaller positions to all of them. Aviva doing okay. I'm actually, with a lot of these positions, I held them in Hargreaves Lansdown before. So when I sold them, I banked that gain. My gain is actually double in some of these versus what we're actually seeing. Unilever ticks along nicely. Apple, obviously, can't go wrong with Apple. I've recently bought into the NASDAQ 100. High risk play. You'll notice there's only $2,000 in there. There was actually only 1,800 quid in there when I invested into it a month ago. It's gone up 9% in a month. The problem with NASDAQ is when times are good, it'll fly. When times are bad, it'll do even worse than everything else. The RoboPie is an experiment that I won't go on to today. And Virgin Galactic, which is always in there to remind me not to be an idiot. You'll also potentially notice, if you do know my portfolio inside out, that I no longer have Pepsi in here. That's because I sold it within the last week, 20% down, because I'm sick of it. Right? There'll always be a reason why I'll sell something, and it's one of two. If it's an individual business, if I don't believe in that business going forward, and if I think I can get better returns elsewhere. So I had around 1,800 quid, I can't remember off the top of my head, invested into Pepsi, which has returned minus 20% over the course of the last 5 years. If I'd have put that into an all world, I'd have had 12.5% per year over the last 5 years into it. It may well fly now. I have made some mistakes before. I have sold Shopify and it's blown up. I have sold Rolls-Royce and it's gone up 50% since the point I sold it, but I'm comfortable with it. All of these ones I took big gains on, by the way. And there's another one that springs to mind. What is it? Oh yeah, Netflix. I sold that and then it's doubled since. But I banked gains in all of them at least. With this one, I've taken a loss. So if we add both of those pots together, that then means in my pension and in my stocks and shares ISA, I have a total of £321,596 to my name right now, which honestly blows my mind. It is bizarre. Now, there'll be people watching this have 10 times that amount. There'll be people watching this have 10 times less than that. Don't forget, Colonel Sanders didn't start KFC until he was in his 60s. Everyone is on a different path. Another problem with social media, I'm a victim of that as well myself. I'll look at people that are younger than me and have bigger pots, and I'm not jealous, but I'll be angry at myself for not sorting it out. We're all on our own journey, okay? We are all on our own journey. We all have different career trajectories, things going on in our life, different risk tolerances. Everything is different for everyone. This is my path, and I just want to be transparent and show it to you. I don't think I've seen too many people share their entire pension and investment portfolio before, so I want to show you that. What I haven't included in this is my house, my property, this one, which I have about £250,000 worth of capital in. So that would effectively mean that my net worth is knocking on the door of 600k. But I'm always going to need somewhere to live, and I'm always going to be a buyer, right? I'm always going to be buying property, so I don't include that. So that £320,000, let's have a look at that now on the compound interest calculator. 321,596. Don't forget, I'm putting every bloody penny in. Now, if I was to just leave all of that until I was 57 and continue to deposit £500 a month into it, which I'm not, I'm going to be putting much more than that into it. That would mean by the time I'm 57, I've had £1.2 million. Now, that's not my plan. My plan is to take the 144, I won't use every penny this time, £144,000 for 8 years until I'm 50, max out my ISA 10666, which is that effectively per month, meaning that by the time I'm 50, I'll have 500k. Now, what I'll do is that's down versus what I saw before. That's because I've reduced the returns. Now, the time horizon between now and 50 is risky because that's 8 years. The markets are very likely, potentially, to not deliver what they have done before. If we were to look at it again, and if we were to get 12% per year, like the markets have done over the last 5 years, that changes it to £640,000. Equally, if it underperforms and we get 4%, which could be very possible, there's no reason that that couldn't be possible. That means I'll end up with a pot of £386,000, which means I'm just going to need to work a couple of more years. But I don't want that to happen. I want it to come in at around £540,000. Now that'll mean I use that as an ISA bridge. So taking money out of the ISA until I'm 57, when I'll be able to access that £750,000 private pension. I do have some other investments elsewhere. So I am fortunate enough that content creation has worked for me. Perhaps I'll cover it in another video. But last year's profit, for example, I didn't take any of it. After tax, I have about 50 grand in a Invest Engine general investment account, business investment account. So there's that as well, but there's all sorts of tax implications to that. I'm hoping to max out putting as much I possibly can make from this content creation into that as well. So there is little pots here and there elsewhere as well that are going to hopefully prop up allowing this to happen. And that's it. That's all of my portfolio for the first time that I've shared it. Pretty much really transparent and honest. Like I say, it might happen, it might not, but that's what I'm hoping. But don't forget, the key thing that I do want you to take out of this is have a look at your private pension. If you are in a default fund, maybe you're happy with that. Maybe you want to have a tweak with it. Find out who your pensions are with and look at what they're invested in. Because if you're not happy with it, you can change it. You can change it. Now, you are limited to the funds that are available by that pension provider. And you cannot change pension provider in your current company from the one that your company is investing into without a lot of complexity that you don't really want to get into. Let's do it. Dad, I'm worried about my driving test. Don't worry, your parking skills are unparalleled. Absolutely horrific. That one was irrelevant. I'm way behind, by the way, so we'll give you a couple. I always try to have a good time at concerts, but I draw the line at crowd surfing. I don't want to get carried away. Right, I'll give you one more. I do apologise to anyone that's never seen this content before, but I try and finish on these jokes. You'd think that finding your lost luggage in an airport would be easy, but that's not the case. I mean, as we get closer to the end of the year, I think they're getting even worse. One other thing, if you are watching at this point, you're probably someone that does watch to this point, so I really appreciate it. And that probably means you've entered the coin competition that I'm doing. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've done that, which is to win one of these silver 1 ounce Britannia. I just love them. I think they're beautiful. By the way, I was with Ram and Pensioncraft the other day talking about gold coins. He doesn't have any. I told him I've got one and he was absolutely buzzing about it. What a guy he is. Anyway, so what I didn't stipulate before, and I am going to now, is my content creator friends have all entered this. And when I did this on TikTok, a content creator won it, which frustrated the hell out of me. But that's absolutely fine because I didn't stipulate it. What I am stipulating now is if you're a content creator, you are not going to be entered into the draw. So what you need to do is you need to go back to that video, which is where I talk about how I went from content creation to redundancy. You need to put coin in the description of that if you're a normal person, not a bloody content creator, and you'll be entered into it. I'll put an update on the community over the course of the next week so you can see what's going on with it, but it's probably going to be another week or two maybe before I do a draw. Maybe I'll do it on a live, maybe, I don't know, but we'll work all of that out. I just wanted to clarify that at this point, right? Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate all of your support as always.